Hey everyone, welcome to Talent Alchemy. And I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving break. I have a very special guest today, Sana Asher. She has been a leader in the SAP ecosystem and she has over 3 decades of experience. I'm really excited for this conversation, really looking forward to it. Welcome, Sana.
Thank you, Rinky. I'm very excited as well. And first of all, congratulations on the podcast. You are
Thank
doing an
you.
amazing job. You've gotten some amazing people on the podcast, and I love the topics you're touching because talent management skills matrices is one area that completely gets pushed aside. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So, everyone, my name is Sana Asher. I have spent about 3 decades in the SAP ecosystem. And most recently, I'm on my entrepreneur journey 2.0, where I have launched an advisory offering, a phase zero, and a masterclass with SAP. I am doing all of this to truly help clients who are with legacy SAP and who need to make the pivot or the move to S4, but don't know where to get started. So that's what I do.
Sana, I have heard a lot about your masterclass. That's definitely a must try if anybody has not check out Sana's LinkedIn page. Okay, so let's start. When I see your post, Sana, you talk a lot about phase zero. You talk about the importance of phase zero. So, in your experience, what does a real phase zero look like beyond the typical project kickoff?
Absolutely. So, Rinky, phase zero, first of all, is not a new term, right? This has been around for a very, very long time. Since I think we started into our careers, right? So, phase zero is not new, but I'll tell you what is new about phase zero. With the complexity and the change that is happening in the SAP world so rapidly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you know this, you also work
yeah.
with SAP, you're part of the fabric. I've been in the ecosystem for, 3+ decades. It's very hard to keep up to what the changes are, right? When you wake up, you're like, oh my God, wait, that was yesterday. Today is a different story, right? So it's very difficult, number one, to keep track of what's new. And secondly, to actually have a team of people say, oh, wow, I know the change. I know what to do about the change.
Uh-huh.
Phase zero is that investment that you're going to make in your project before you do a project kickoff, only to make sure you've crossed all the T's and dotted the I's.
Uh-huh.
As a part of phase zero, Rinky, I have an assessment tool that, I'm launching. In fact, today is the first day I've launched that tool.
Awesome.
Thank you. Where I can have clients who can go to this tool. It's a digital assessment. They can take this assessment, and in 4 weeks, they can absolutely pinpoint where their SAP landscape's at, right? So think about the complexity. You're an ECC customer. You're debating if you want to make the move to S4 or not. Now you have to think about at least a migration or transformation from 12 to 24 months. Before you do the transformation, you want to spend some time doing a phase zero and an assessment, because now you will have a handle on what you need. What is it going to look like in terms of costing? What does the budget look like? What does your team matrix look like, right? And there's so many pieces of the phase zero. So that is my recommendation, Rinky, to most clients, is that don't go into it, blindsided. Please go into it prepared, knowing fully well what you're getting into.
That's so good. Can you tell our audience a bit about if they want to buy the tool?
Yes, absolutely, Rinky. Thank you so much. I mean, everyone, if I was just saying this to Rinky before we started recording, is that the price point on this tool is absolutely crazy. And in SAP, in the SAP world, if you're under 5 figures, some people start thinking something is wrong with you. And that's exactly kind of where the tool is at. It's really, really very inexpensive. And if you guys need more information, please DM me. I'd be happy to, answer your questions. But I'm doing a full launch. So keep posted on my LinkedIn page and you'll be able to see more.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you, Ricky.
Awesome. So Sana, you talked about transformation. And as companies are transitioning to S4 HANA, cloud, or even the AI driven SAP solutions, in your experience, what new or evolving skills that you see becoming a non negotiable? What are the most common skills gap that you think leaders are overlooking when they are planning for this large tech shifts or transformations?
I can give you a whole list of things, but I'll tell you the biggest thing, Rinky, that I am seeing, okay, today
Yeah.
as things are happening. One of the things that I'm seeing, and I've seen it for the last 5 years, is these senior leadership teams, people who've been in the trenches, people who've done transformations, people who've lived it. They
Hmm.
are the ones who are not there in the market today. They've
Interesting.
either left, right,
Hmm. Hmm.
for a better opportunity or doing consulting, or they are just tired of working in SAP for a long time. I think leadership teams absolutely need one or two of those SAP warriors, as I call them. And the reason you need them, so
Hmm.
on one hand, you have these SAP warriors who 20, 30, 40 years of experience who are, kind of leaving the market. On the other hand, you have these newer consultants who have, 5, 10, 12 years experience, but realize they've come into ECC or
Okay.
they've just come into S4. They don't have the transformation experience that you'd be looking for.
Yeah.
So leadership teams absolutely need to make sure that they have a couple of warriors on their project because they are the ones who've not lived through one transformation, but a number of transformations. They know exactly what goes wrong and they know exactly how to stop that. That's
Right.
one skill I see, Rinky, which is very much missing in the transformation phases today.
You are absolutely right. And I really liked that term, transformation warriors. What do you think are the key mindsets or skills organizations should build before even they start transformation from a change management perspective? What do you think they need to be prepared?
Companies decide to do a business transformation or even a technical transformation, a migration, whatever you want to call it, these decisions are boardroom decisions. They're
Yes.
not made
Yeah.
on the floor,
Yeah.
right? They're
Yeah.
not made with every single team coming together. Part of the conversation becomes, oh, it's just too much chatter. No,
Hmm.
it's not.
Yeah.
You are taking every single employee through a different way of working. So in my mind, the essential skills that you need is first of all, you need to bring every single employee to one playing field. One.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
This is what we're going to do, right?
Yeah.
And I mean from the CEO of the company to the shop floor worker.
Hmm.
That's the first thing you do. The
Yeah.
second thing you do is you try to understand what are the gaps each of these teams are facing. So for a shop floor worker, he could care less if he's using SAP or Oracle or
Right.
SQL or whatever the hell it does, right?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you going to make my life easy? If I'm coming in at 6 a.m. in the morning and my shift goes till 2, can I get more done? Am I just punching my card and am I waiting for the same thing you have to empower those people. You have to bring them to that level and say, hey, we're doing a transformation and your job, we're going to really change it. So you are not going to be sitting here till 6 at night figuring out what went wrong with your report or what
Right.
went wrong
Right.
with your particular,
Yeah.
line of business, but we are able to help you make that transition. So
Hmm.
everyone, Rinky, right from your CEO to your shop floor worker, to your sales teams, to your product teams, to your HR teams, everyone is a part of the transformation. And the skills are you identify the gaps before you
Hmm.
start a project like this to
Hmm.
say, what is the level of understanding? Great. They know SAP. They've been doing it for the last 10
Right.
years.
Right.
But what have they not learned?
Yeah.
And that, what do I need to teach them? So help them understand that gap and
Yeah.
then start your transformation. You'll
Yeah.
just have a better outcome.
You are right. More than the technical readiness, which is important, I think the change readiness, the mindset, the culture, the willingness to adopt are the few things often many companies overlook. So I'm glad you mentioned
Absolutely. Because why do I care, right? My job
that.
is
Right.
my job. What does it matter to
Yeah.
me? I'm just gonna
Yeah.
come and do what I do. But
Yeah.
if someone were to tell me, hey, look, I can take your job and I can, give you one
Yeah.
hour free, you don't have to run for your
Yeah.
lunch. Imagine what a difference that is.
Yeah. And Sana, you have been in the trenches for many of these transformation journeys.
Yes.
So, any tips for customers who are planning? How do you bring different stakeholders, HR, IT, and business, into the conversation early on the transformation? Because when I speak to my customers, I think that's one area where they see a challenge. Bringing everybody to the same alignment. So, any tips to bring all those different stakeholders? to the same table?
Okay, that's a great question, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
So, number one, I have written a book which I'm going to be publishing next month. I'm going to send you a copy, Rinky. Take a look at that. That's the
Yeah.
SAP Transformation Playbook. You're going
Huh.
to love it because that's exactly talking about this. But I think the problem becomes when it becomes a IT project or a business project. I don't think it's either. I think it's a organization project. So right from your CEO to your president to your HR to your IT to your finance, every single person is going to get impacted. And I think the only way to bring them all to the table is to have a very open dialogue and say, this today is where here's where we are. Well, for the next decade, we need to change the way we are doing business because
Right.
our
Right.
markets are now global. Our
Yeah.
profits are probably shrinking. Our
Yeah.
customer is everywhere. And how do we pivot to being that business? So it's not just an IT conversation or a leadership conversation or a finance conversation. It's everyone.
Right.
Because now even HR has to be part of that because HR is going to be able to help you find these people to make that
Right.
pivot,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think transformations start when everyone comes into one room and agrees to one vision. That one thread that ties everyone together,
Hmm.
you need to have that. A
Yeah.
lot of companies think they do. They think it's in the user's, your employee manual,
Right.
but it's not, right? You can tap an HR executive and you can ask him and he'll be like, oh, I just think it's an IT project. No, it's not,
Yeah.
because it's going to affect him as well.
Yeah.
So I think getting everyone to the table is not that difficult if
Mm.
everyone knows
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they are equally responsible for the success of it, not
Right.
just one party or two parties.
Yeah. And I think you touched upon that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
you that because I have seen organizations are going for a transformation program. They often design it for the system rather than for their people or
Correct.
their vendors or their customers. What are some mistakes you have seen organization make when they design transformation programs only centered around system?
I think, Rinky, no one decides to do that. Honestly, right?
Right.
I think
Right.
everyone, when they start a journey, the intent is very, very clear that we want to make things better than where we are today. The challenge becomes, and I'm sure you've seen this as well. There
Yeah.
is so much noise
Yeah.
around you.
Right. Yeah.
You have your vendors, you have your systems integrators, your software vendors, your hardware vendors, you have your internal folks. You have all these people in their own chatter. There is not a single voice which is unbiased and that is saying, hey, have you thought about this? So in my opinion, my advice is when you're starting a transformation, number one, absolutely have an unbiased person on your side, no question. All right. And that person is not affiliated to your software vendor, your SI, or anybody. They're affiliated to you and your success. And be open to take that criticism from them when they tell you this is wrong, this is you going down the wrong path, because they have nothing to lose. I mean, they are telling you what you are not able to see, right? Because they can look at
Okay.
it from a 30,000-foot view. So
Yeah.
number one, absolutely have an unbiased person, or as like I said, a transformation warrior on your
Hmm.
side for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think number two, be open and nimble to making a pivot. If you've started on a journey, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It doesn't mean you have to follow that journey, right? Just like, you and I, we use Google Maps, we use Waze, we use, Apple Maps. When you're traveling, you are based in Atlanta, I'm based in New York, both really high traffic cities. There are times when Google Maps will say, hey, there's an alternate route.
Yeah.
This will save you 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, take that alternate route. Don't just wait sitting
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the problem. That's a human mentality, right? Oh, but I'm already on the path. Why do I need
Yeah.
to change? You
Yeah.
do. You need to be nimble enough to say, okay, we've gone down this path. This is kind of not working for us. What do we do? So ask the hard questions early on. Make the pivots early on. And at the end of the day, if you start doing this more religiously, you will not have 60, 70% failures on your hands.
Right.
You will
Yeah.
have 10% failures on your hands,
Yeah,
15%
which is yeah,
failures on your hands, right?
yeah, yeah,
Things will, of course, things will fail. I mean,
yeah,
there's nothing foolproof, but
right.
there is a opportunity to keep pivoting and keep getting better. And I think that's one thing a lot of people don't realize, Rinky, because they are so entrenched in the contracts with the SIs, with the vendors,
Yeah,
and they don't ask the hard questions. Okay, so what is a second scenario? What is, number
right,
two option? What is number three
right,
option? I want
right.
all my options, right?
Yeah,
So I think
yeah,
it's good to ask those questions.
yeah. And I like that you mentioned about be open, your point number two,
Right.
and able to take those decisions right away in time, right? I've seen a few times with these large transformation projects, oftentimes the decision maker is not involved or they are not
Yes.
accessible, right? The
Correct.
senior leadership team. So I think it's very important for organizations or SIs to understand that those key stakeholders, they need to be involved more closely.
Absolutely.
Be a good
Hands on.
partner.
I would say hands on, weekly cadence. And it doesn't matter how many times you keep getting the pushback. You don't need me. No, no, we absolutely need you. Because sometimes the decision to make a pivot may only be a question of time,
Uh-huh.
right? And you will not, like you said, you can't access the person. But so you need to have those leadership teams involved completely.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, slightly different question. So we're talking about transformation, and my podcast is Talent Alchemy, which is
Yes.
transformation. So, from a talent readiness perspective, the people side of it in a transformation journey, what are the key mindsets and skills you believe organizations should build before they even start the tech work? Because a transformation is a big change. They're maybe adopting a new technology, new experience, new way of doing things. So, what do you think from a mindset perspective or skills they need to build even before?
Absolutely. So I think you're, Rinky, one of the things that you're seeing as much as I'm seeing in the market today is this whole notion about you're an FI consultant, you're an SD consultant is going to go away very, very
Yeah,
soon, or
yeah,
you are a success factors consultant, right? I think it's going to come down to, do you understand SAP business process?
uh-huh.
So the super users or the people who are using SAP, they are the ones who are truly going to be our heroes in this particular transformation. They've used the system, they know how to work around, and they know the business process.
Correct. Yeah,
You need to get those minds upskilled to what's next, not
yeah,
wait until you actually implement it, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's definitely those people. The second level is all our consultants and all the people who are going to be on the project. Again, have them come in with a very open mind and to say, give me the entire process. Do you understand the entire process from when we make something to
Uh-huh.
when we build something? That is what is going to be needed. So you take these folks and you expose them to different areas, because the future of these transformation projects, Rinky, is not going to be, very siloed. It's going to be completely along with the business.
Yeah,
And now we need to get those outcomes. So the
yeah,
mindset shift is absolutely be
yeah.
open to learning.
By open to learning, you talked about upskilling, which is what we have been talking about in the
Yes.
talent world a lot,
Yes.
because internal mobility is a key piece. Employees leave the organization not just because of pay, but because they're not learning something new. So, what advice would you give to customers who are just beginning their phase zero, especially those who are overwhelmed by cloud, S4HANA, and AI at the same time? There's a lot of chatter about AI.
Sure. So first of all, don't talk to your current vendor about phase zero. Sorry, it's a very direct recommendation I'm making. But the reason I'm making that is your current vendor is helping you with your current structure, current IT projects. Nothing wrong with that. But they can't come in with a lens from an outside in. They're already inside. So get somebody from an outside in lens. Okay.
Okay.
And it's not about trying to put a vendor down or trying to do something wrong.
Right,
No,
right.
it's
Yeah,
about getting a very holistic view on where you are in your entire transformation journey as you're starting your phase zero. So bring in an unbiased person, someone from the outside who will look at your organization, who will look at your transformation and say, These are the three things you need to do. That's the first thing. The second thing is, once you have that, that person, or you have the recommendation, take what your current vendor is giving you and kind of compare it and say, okay, is there a delta? Are we missing something? Do we need to add something? Right? And get that piece done right before you even start a transformation. Phase zero is all about dissecting, learning, understanding. Use phase zero for exactly that. Not
Okay.
just to compare quotes, not just to compare proposals. Just don't do that. Take time to learn about your own landscape. I'll tell you a funny story. So I was talking to a manufacturing client. They're about 2.5 billion in revenue, and they want to make this move to S4HANA. And one of the questions I was asking them, I'm like, so what about phase zero? They're like, well, what about that? I'm like, so are you going to do that? He goes, no, are we just going to go directly into doing, a transformation? I'm like, okay. He's like, we've got all the quotes, from everybody. I'm like, okay. I said, do you know what your current data looks like? He goes, no. I said, do you know what's the size of your database?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So how are you making decisions on moving to a transformation?
Yeah.
These are big questions. Do you know your licensing?
Yeah.
No. You
Yeah.
know your structure of your licensing is going to change from
Yeah.
ECC to S4HANA. Oh, I didn't know that. So that's what I'm saying. You don't think about these things until someone is pausing and saying, have you
Mm,
looked at that? And
right.
for clients to do an internal, study, it's going to take them a minimum of 6 months
Yeah.
and three resources. So
Yeah.
you need to have a handle on what you have before you make the move. At least
Make
look at
the
your
move. Yeah.
house. Yeah.
Yeah. So phase zero is almost like, letting them see in the mirror what they have,
Yes.
right?
Well
Before
said.
dreaming
Yes,
big. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
See in the
Mm,
mirror what you have and what you need to reuse, what you need to discard, what you need to, kind of just keep with you.
yeah.
And yes, and
Yeah.
see how that maps to your newer, organization.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's more than a proof of concept. It's a very detailed, I think, task oriented
Yes.
uh, activity.
Oh,
And
100%,
yeah.
Rinky. For us, we do the phase zero on a live S4HANA system. So what we do with the phase zero, then 12 weeks, is we actually, with best practices data, we are able to show them the business processes of how it's going to look in a S4HANA system. And we'll actually give them the system and say, here, you can start using this and you can copy exactly this config. So it's
Okay.
that real. It's not a
Okay.
PowerPoint or a Word document anymore.
It's great to know that you use the best practice data and the
Yes.
solution. I know every customer is different, the size is different, the processes are different. But what is an average phase zero time frame looks like?
For us, I mean, what we do as in the phase zero, Rinky, our phase zero is 12 weeks.
Okay.
Pretty sharp, pretty short. It is also a digital phase zero, right?
Okay.
And we do it, it's more like a pyramid and a Lego block approach. So we
Okay.
take a number of tools, we take a number of, pieces, and we work through that with the client landscape. And we do it on a live S4HANA system. So at the end of 12 weeks, I will be able to show you what your business process will look like in a best practice scenario on an S4HANA RISE system.
Okay. Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
is.
during your phase zero, you work closely with the customer team, right? They are also involved.
The first 2 weeks, we probably need them to be around a little bit more longer with us, maybe like
Yeah.
50, 60%. But
Yeah.
after that, we will just do our own analysis. We're running our tools, we're running our findings. And then towards the last 2 weeks, we'll need them again because we're going to now start getting everything into S4HANA. So for
Okay.
them to kind of look at it. Yeah. So, but it's not the investment from a customer side is not, I need you 100%. It's not that.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. No, awesome. I think that's great. And I'm looking forward to hear from you later, maybe when we chat about your assessment tool.
So first of all, Rinky, thank you so very much for getting me onto your podcast. Much appreciated. And for everyone, guys, the time is ticking. It looks like 2027 or 2030 is far away. It's really not. It is very much around the corner. In about 4 weeks, we'll be in 2026. So please, time to level up, your game, time to buckle up and, decide what you're going to do because SAP is here to stay. SAP is not going anywhere. We are here to help. So if you need me, please DM me, reach out to me or to Rinky, and we're happy to help.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sana. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. And wishing you lots of luck on the podcast, Rinky. Take care and lots of luck.
Thank you.